I'd like to apologize to my neighbors who may have been kept up in the night from my increasingly loud chuckles at the prospect of me caring about an album with this title, and on top of that, with this cover artwork from this artist. Aside from Post Malone's flimsy cloud-soaked breakout hit claiming him to be the white version of Allen Iverson, which is a concept that I think is a bit bloody stupid, as well as supposedly accidentally stating that if you want music to think about life, then don't listen to hip-hop, which I think is a really silly thing to say about the genre that the fella is literally occupying a notable space off. Post Malone is apparently a really nice guy. The rather down-to-earth and humorable dude has been on the H3H3 podcast, but so has Jordan Peterson, so how much a beneficial endorsement is that? But I made way for an open mind with Stoney in late 2016, and still came out even more disappointed with the man's album, which in turn miffed lots of budding fans of the guy when I uploaded my review. I really did try to stay engaged with Stoney, but the man's vocoder flung singing makes him sound like the audio on Bon Iver's sex tape. The producers slather as much reverb on the song as McDonald's does mayo, and Posty's emotional ballads are bogged down by lyrics that seldom make me want to care or connect to his ramblings. Do all these things affect the quality of turning up to Congratulations at Ferg's? Maybe not. But in that case, Posty's music rarely invites casual listening, and more just playing it very loud to distract from all the terrible qualities of any song on Stoney. Like, pick a card, any card, they're all the Joker. Speaking of Jokers, Post Malone named his new album Beerbongs and Bentleys, and Unilad is already in awe of the Zack and Cody reference on a track literally called Zack and Codeine. In fairness, I had to really sit down and work out the intersection coordinates of non-linear functions to understand that lyricism. Okay, but that's more down to the fans and listeners than anything. Post Malone kinda knows what he's playing for. He has a place, and that place is fun, loose, hip-hop flavored R&B with trap percussion. It's not meant to be musically savvy, it's meant to be a bit fun, and loose, and silly, and wild, and somehow sensitive and vulnerable, and occasionally being very emotional. Occasionally does want to have a bit of lyrical nuance to it, I don't know. But let's go into this album trying to have a bit of fun. In a ridiculous twist of fate, Beerbongs and Bentleys, despite its title alone being one giant odd against this album, is fine. Actually, more than fine. It's a good album, I think. Not only does Posty's vocoder singing sound much smoother and better, although he still can't do a vibrato, but the production is sharp and moody and very cleanly done. Meanwhile, his lyrics are still not very good. He does try to be introspective, but he is not the kind of narrator that you can sympathize with. What a surprise that having lots of money isn't an automatic gateway to being a keeper. And yet, despite Post Malone's lyrics being shallow and not very emotionally connective at all, I still like the song Rich and Sad for what sounds like a theremin in the beat, and Posty's wails in the chorus sounding like someone stepped on his foot every time he finished the line.
You ain't never cared about that bullshit anyway.
The song itself, sonically, is kinda nice. Back to the lyrics though, Post hashes out these hip-hop phrases and cliches with very little self-awareness. So it's not like he's saying much of substance, and Post Malone has always been one of those turn-up artists, but he always tries to balance this out with emotional potency and being sensitive, which I can appreciate, but he can't pull it off. Rockstar is still kind of a good song, really slick flows with every lyric, the beat is cold and despondent in contrast to the hedonistic lyrics in a really unsettling way, as if to say, hey, maybe this isn't such a glamorous lifestyle after all. At least that's what I thought the subtext was, until I heard it amidst an album full of songs that embrace it, so, was I expecting too much? I don't know. I won't say the dude is a particularly versatile artist on this album either, but he shows some surprises like the aggressive hook on Over Now, the sweet bouncy vocal melody on Better Now, which is probably my favorite song on the entire track list, the acoustic ballad Stay that I don't particularly like per se, but I appreciate that he tries to showcase that vulnerability without being a bit up himself like he does on previous songs, even the ones that I mentioned that I like. And vulnerability does come through on these songs like Jonestown, which delve into the very dark subject of suicide and overdose and pulls that murkiness off very convincingly. I just don't understand why these songs are on an album that spends most of its time with anthemic party hits and hedonistic bangers. Also in highlights, there's the sweetness of Candy Paint's beat and the Anthony Fantano name drop on Sugar Wraith. Believe me, there are decent to even good songs on here, but it's in a mixed party bag of black jelly beans and banana fruit bursts. It still falters lyrically, it falters on having a lot of throwaway tracks that sound very similar to one another, that reuse the same ideas. I feel like this album is still very bloated. All in all, Post Malone still showcases a lot of the issues I had with his music around the Stoney era. It's just that this time the guy can actually write a song, and he does it enough times for this to be good. A 6 out of 10.